Man.
What's wrong, Tony?
I just can't pass this water temple. I just can't.
Fear not, gamers. Moss is here.
Wow, Moss is here! He's kind of a big deal.
Yes, I am. And I'm here to tell you to check out ZeldaDungeon.net for all your Legend of Zelda needs. Stuck on a dungeon?
Uh-huh.
We've got you covered. We've got the most extensive Zelda walkthroughs on the net.
Wow.
News, previews, articles, walkthroughs, and so much more. ZeldaDungeon.net. And don't forget about the entire Dungeon Gaming family. Gen Game, Pokemon, Darksiders, we've got it all. And if we don't have it, you don't need it.
Thanks, Moss!
You're welcome.
Hello and welcome once again to the Forward Compatible Podcast. This is episode 66, part 2 for May 12th, 2013. My name's Tony and I'm joined as always by my fellow podcasters Mark and Jason.
We talked about a lot of GameStop shenanigans while we were off air. It was quite interesting.
We should have recorded that and posted it.
I plead the fifth.
Not
a good idea.
I mean, no, this was totally within the lines.
Totally
It was
kidding.
normal sales, ridiculous customers,
Yes.
nothing
Yes,
else
nothing.
at all.
And we are rejoined by our guest from part 1. Welcome back, Brian.
Thank you for having me.
He's like
Yeah.
a rash, but just when you think he's gone.
He
I
comes
come right
back. And,
And that medication just doesn't seem to work.
Kind of like the herp.
or the HIV. Do the HIV. Do the HIV.
Okay.
From Scrubs, anyone?
Yeah.
Yeah, I recall it.
He was
vaguely.
dancing to it.
So, if
Walking
you're-
Dead!
Yeah,
Brink!
If you're just joining us, be sure to click out for part 1 where we discuss news and reader questions.
No.
Or join us.
Gmail!
Or check it out after the show.
And a fireside chat.
And we threw in a fireside chat this week. So
And Mark's
and Tony
rant of
took
the
his
week.
pants off.
that happens every week. People
You'll
say-
figure out
It's to be expected.
which one of us was forcibly removed from a building this week.
Yeah.
Was that in there? I thought we just talked about that before.
Oh, I don't remember.
Oh.
Anyways,
Anyway,
I
this
messed
is,
up the story anyway. Jason threw somebody out of a building.
Yeah, you've totally fucked it up. Anyway, this is part 2.
Well, I mean, it did on purpose.
Where, of course,
Sounds more interesting the other way.
we tackle doo-doo-doo-doo, doo-doo-doo-doo. Tony's topic of the week. Doo-doo-doo-doo, ba-doo-boo-boo-doo. Tony's topic of the week. Hey. Huh? Oh, you look like you had to say something.
I had so much to say about that last statement.
He's just like, huh?
Today, I have. Let me lay it all out on the line here for everybody. I got about 14 or 15 topic of the weeks pre-picked out. The problem is they haven't come about yet, so I have this huge catalog of stuff we're going to get to. Stuff like remembering the 360, of course, the final week of its being the main focus of Microsoft's camp. We're going to have a say goodbye to the PS3. We're going to have a best games of this current generation that's going on right now once we fully swing into the new one. E3, post the Microsoft conference, that's of course happening next week. I got a bunch of these, okay? But in the meantime, weeks like this where none of those quite came yet because E3's still a few weeks off, so is the Microsoft reveal.
We're going to post our schedule of when we're going to do certain things on our website.
Cool, I could totally fill that in and remind myself of what
I'll
topic
fill
of the
you
week.
in.
Yeah, that was like a double entendre. So this week, it was kind of a filler week, but it's something we've been meaning to do a while anyway. So we decided this week's as good as any.
Horse of Gaming.
Tomb Raider ends.
Done. All right, thanks for joining us. Now we're doing our top 15 personal moments. It was started off as 10, but none of us
None of us could get it there.
None of us can narrow it down to 10, so we decided to up it to 15. Our top 15 specific moments in a video game, not the 15 best video games we ever played.
Yeah.
Specific moments within certain games. We're all going to start at 15. We'll kind of go around in a circle, then we'll go down to 14.
Mine's
15.
not numbered.
Yeah, and I told you hundreds of times to number it. You
Not
should've-
gonna happen.
So we're just going to pretend your 15 is 15.
That's fine. I have 15. They're just not numbered.
You should have did that.
You should suck it.
did
So we'll go around, we'll do all our 15s, then our 14s, 13s, so on and so forth. We'll kind of discuss each one, let the person who decided it explain it, and then we'll all chime in if we have something to add. And we'll just kind of see how this goes.
Yeah, I mean, we're probably going to have some overlapping ones and whatnot, so...
Some of them we all went into this blind, so nobody knows what the other lists are. So, like Jason was just saying, we may have people that picked,
Except when Tony was pissed and I looked at his list.
you son of a bitch.
Why is that what you say? Tony's number 7.
Excuse me.
Fill that in with Tony's number 7.
All right, so let's kick it off with...
Start with Brian.
Okay, we'll
He's
go
the guest.
we'll go this way. then.
Yes.
Okay.
So number 15.
Number 15. Back in the early days of the NES, the original Ninja Gaiden, the duel at the very beginning, the introduction, before you even saw the title screen, you saw the duel, which is the main character's father and another ninja fighting. And
It was the start menu, wasn't it?
it was like before. It was before the start menu.
Okay, I remember. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm remembering this vaguely.
I believe it was before. It was either if you let yeah.
As soon as you started it up, that's
No,
when
no,
it
no,
kicked
no,
off.
no. It was before.
Yeah. No, I'm saying, no.
Before you started
as
it
soon,
up?
as soon as you push the power button.
Yes.
When you thought about it, just zipped into
Should
the
I
screen.
play Ninja Gaiden and the thing just came up?
Yeah. Oh no, yeah. Before you press start, yeah, you're right. As soon as you boot it up, it showed like this cutscene, and at the time, like in the days of the NES, you just did not see that, and it was just like, like before that, it was like, run to the right, and maybe travel around the map, but there was no, like. It was like a cartoon at the time. I mean, you look at it now, you're like, whatever, okay.
Yeah,
buddy.
he showed me this before the show started, and I see one tiling texture as the entire ground. I'm
I mean,
like,
it's not impressive now, but at the time, my brain just kind of popped.
Really quick, if everyone's seen the scene, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to take you to a more current thing that every time I see this scene, it reminds me of Ninja Gaiden.
Okay.
And does anybody remember the season finale of Walking Dead Season 2?
Yes.
When you
Yes.
have Shane
Yes.
and you have Rick standing in the field with the moon behind him?
Yes.
I was waiting for them to start running at each other.
Yeah.
I was
absolutely.
waiting for that to happen.
Yeah.
That's exactly what triggered in my head when I saw that. I was
Yeah.
like, Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Mark, number 15.
Number 15. Let's jump right into it. This is the entire intro of Half-Life 1. Literally, I love
The
the
train
way,
ride?
the train ride, and the
That you couldn't skip? Let me off the fucking train!
I loved it because it like you just jumped into this game and it was like, all right, what's going on? And they just play it off as a normal day at work until you start getting into the actual test chamber.
The only thing that pissed me off about that is, like, if you started a new game, you couldn't skip that shit.
No, you can skip
What
that.
the fuck?
You didn't want to see the robots moving your shit around?
No. That fucking train ride was boring after seeing it.
I've seen
a
it
couple
so many
times.
times. I'm so okay with it. That and the toxic waste that is just pooling in the freaking basement or
Yeah.
whatever the hell that was. That was hilarious.
All right. I'm going to... Huh?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, what's your question?
It looked like you only had 10 of them.
No, they're...
Oh, they're right now. They're right
now.
now. Okay.
I'm going to start with something we were kind of touching base on in part 1. My number 15, unnumbered, would have to be your dog's death in Fable 2.
It was some bullshit. That
Dude,
was a good one.
I
forgot all
wanted
about
to
that.
fucking cry when I saw that.
Pretty memorable
It's like,
moment
no,
in gaming.
it's so much so
Trying
that
to sleep that night?
It impacted the ending of the game for me. Spoilers on what, a 6-year-old game now? I brought my dog back to life.
That's what I like to do,
Instead of
too.
saving my wife or
Or your
money
friends
or whatever.
yeah.
It's like, give me back the dog.
Yeah, it's exactly what I did
know,
too. I
yeah.
had the same ending. It was great.
And the people in the village, they're like, fuck you. And it's like, fuck you, I got my dog. You know?
Fuck you, my dog will bite
They
you.
were like talking shit, like, why didn't you save the, like,
I got my goddamn
half
dog.
of Albion's wiped out. I'm like, I don't give a fuck, I got my dog.
Whatever, rebuilt.
Yeah.
People are going to keep fucking and keep having kids. We'll be all right. My dog is here to stay.
He's kind of like immortal now.
All right, I'll go with my number 15. Or did anybody else have anything to chime in? Fable-tooth Dog? Okay.
Yeah.
Then my number 15. This is from the original Call of Duty. There was this level that took place in Stalingrad where
Did you pick the one on PC?
It's also in the remake.
Yeah, I know.
It's also in Call of Duty Classic. There's this level that takes place in Stalingrad where you're pretty much by yourself. Yeah, you're literally by yourself, and they don't really start you with any weapons, so you're kind of scrounging for anything that's laid out on the ground from pretty much, I guess, the German army. So you're just scrounging for MP40s at the time and stuff of the sort. And little by little, it almost essentially turns into a horde mode within a level. And you end up having to face off against what seems like hundreds of guys by yourself. And it, starts off with one trickling in, then two or three, and then it just gets really nuts really quick. And it's part of the campaign, which was incredibly interesting. And it was one of those moments that blew my mind, especially back then when the first-person genre was just starting to come into its own.
Did you make that same noise that Mark made?
Literally, that is probably my all-time favorite first-person shooter right there, Call of Duty 1.
I'm just saying that noise.
No, yeah, I know.
So you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's
I played
funny
that
shit.
mission.
He's like, that was my number one.
I literally going through this, I completely left out some stuff. So
I could have easily named 100.
off of just Call of Duty stuff almost.
No, I'm just saying in general.
Oh,
games.
yeah.
I could have named 100.
It's so hard to relive all of them and remember them.
We went through one round, and Jason already reminded me of a huge one I left off.
Me too.
My list. So it's just like, this is going to happen constantly.
Yeah.
And Brian, what's your number 14 then?
My number 14 is the Reverse Castle from Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
Forgot all about that one.
It's fantastic because, everyone knows about it now, but if you played through the game quickly and didn't really scour the castle, you would just finish the game by killing Richter. But if you found a couple of extra items and equipped them before fighting Richter, you would see that he's being controlled by another spirit. And if you kill the spirit instead, it unlocks a reversed version of the castle, literally flipped upside down, so you're running around on the ceiling. And it's the same general structure, but different. So you basically have a whole new world to explore that's the exact same size as the world before. It's really awesome.
Yeah, this is another key one I left off my list. Symphony of the Night is my favorite Castlevania ever made.
Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah.
And I totally forgot about this. This is one of the great hidden gems, if you will, of video gaming history in general. It's a great, great add-on. Totally forgot about it. I think I'm going to run into a lot of those after we get through our list.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Alrighty, my number 2. I'm going to stick with my
14.
Half-Life 2. What? Yeah, that's what
Number
I meant.
14.
Yeah,
Going
I'm going backwards.
Let's not fuck this up again. Like we did.
Number 14. Mine, sticking with the Half-Life series. This is in Half-Life 2. It is the very ending. It is the blowing up of the Citadel. It was by far probably one of the coolest explosions I think I had seen to date. And it was a great ending to what was an awesome, awesome game.
Nice.
Yeah.
I
don't have too much to add to that one. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. Those are great PC games. You gotta try them.
No,
they're great.
I played Half-Life 2. I don't think I finished it. I really don't.
The first or second one?
For the second one.
Second one?
Yeah.
Do it. Literally, it just gets better and
Do
better.
it. Just do it.
Once you get the Raven's Hold, oh.
Just do it.
I liked running around with Dog though.
Did you get to the Zombie City?
I don't remember.
Oh man, that's.
It's been a while.
It's one of the most iconic things of that entire game is when you get to the Raven's Hold.
Just do it.
You got to do it.
Just do it.
Gotta
do it.
Just do it.
All right, my number 14 in no particular order. Friday the 13th on the NES. Your first encounter or any encounter with Jason.
Game over.
Exactly. Like he
And
fucked you up. I don't think I ever beat him. Ever.
He's damn near impossible. Unless you had like the best weapon and had perfect timing.
I had a fucking rock.
It was just
Yeah.
it was such
the
a
rock, forget it.
It was such a broken game, but so brilliant all at the same time. There was no rhyme or rhythm to where Jason would pop up. It was just all sporadic.
All the way on
time.
the other side of the fucking lake.
You pop into a cabin and he's there, and he would just fucking massacre you so quickly. It was
I think, honest to God,
the first time I faced him too. There was another very, very memorable moment.
I think that was probably, and I played that very young. That was probably the first video game that ever gave me nightmares as a child. Was that?
Was it just that looping music track over and over again?
And then you're in the fucking woods and the dogs and shit. And then you're in the fucking cave and the bats and you're like,
It made no sense. It made no fucking sense.
No.
So much going on.
And then you know what's even creepier than running into him in a cabin? When you're in a fucking boat and he's like Jaws, just swimming past you.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever saw that.
Yeah, it's fucking creepy.
I believe you.
It's just like the top of his head.
That I don't remember. I guess we'll hop into my number 14. This would be the first time I saw Mortal Kombat fatalities.
Bitch.
I don't remember which one was the first one I ever witnessed. I just remember being awestruck because prior to that, I'd never seen anything even close to that level.
How are we gonna handle this when we have matching ones?
I don't know.
That is on my list.
It's on your list. We could discuss it further down the list.
Okay.
Person,
You can tell your side of the story.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah,
what
we
you
won't
liked
go
about
around.
it.
I'll just do what I do. Okay. So to me, like I was just saying, I never saw anything close to that kind of. I mean, by nowadays standards, it's fucking nothing. But back then, it was so revolutionary. Mortal Kombat, the guys at Midway pretty much re-kicked off the violence in video game debate with that game single-handedly. It was so bad, Nintendo didn't even want to include...
No, it was sweat.
Yeah, but some of the blood and gore in their game where Sega was just like, fuck it.
Well, it was still hidden behind a code in the first one.
Yeah, the blood code.
Yeah. I mean, it was in there, but you had to put in a code. They wouldn't just enable it.
No. So, I mean, to me, Mortal Kombat fatalities were a brilliant addition and a very shocking and memorable part of my video game career.
Nice. Number 13.
13. This is a bit of a goofy one. The Battle for Balamb Garden in Final Fantasy VIII. Final Fantasy VIII, not the most popular Final Fantasy. This one blew me away with the visuals. It was completely about the visuals in this one. It comes to this point where these two schools are fighting. They're two military schools, and the schools actually come out of the ground and move toward each other across continents, crash into each other.
Really?
Yeah, and the students are literally charging each other, and you're running. And what they do is they have this CG video of all the students fighting. So it's like a huge Braveheart style battle, with tons of people just going at it, shooting magic at each other, swinging swords, all that. And you're running in the foreground past all this. And this is on the PS1, so you've never seen this many things. I mean, it's a video, so it's technically kind of cheating, but you've never seen this epic scale of a battle in a game before that I'd ever seen.
Nice.
So I was just blown away as you're running across. It was really cool.
Mark!
Me! My number 13. I'm actually giving this to No Russia. That is the controversial Modern Warfare. Was it 1? 2? It was 2. It was 2. And it was the level where you are
Are you
playing...
talking about the airport?
Talking about the airport.
That's Modern Warfare 2.
Yes, it is. I'm talking about that. It was something I just never saw in a game before to that scale. Even though I played Grand Theft Auto before that, this was just something completely different. You basically are given the choice of if you want to massacre civilians or if you want to go through the entire level without killing a single person. And you'll have your AI partners yelling at you the whole time, calling you a pussy and stuff like that.
It was so controversial at the time. The gentleman who made it over at Activision and Infinity Ward had to actually give you an option before the game started saying that there was a very delicate scene and you were able to skip it if you would like. You had to let them know at the beginning of the game. It would completely bypass that level, and it did not affect achievements or the completion of the game. There was no intel available in that level on purpose for people that wanted to skip it. It was surely to add to the story.
I don't think many people skipped it.
I don't think so either.
I think it was just an option to be like, hey, you want to see this cool, awesome stuff? Or you
Well, it
want
was just a way to cover their butts.
That too.
It was,
Yeah, that's
it was,
why.
it was a lot more brutal than some stuff that has been in games before, but I also feel it caused way bigger of a stir than was actually in the game.
Yeah, I believe so too.
The surrounding aura of it was more powerful than what was actually in the game, is what I meant to say.
Yeah, no, I agree. I put it in here just because it was something that I actually didn't know that you could go throughout the entire thing without killing a single person.
He's just gunning
and
down everyone.
So was I.
Yeah, I was too. And then literally,
It was a slaughterfest.
you literally do get a different dialogue in the end, depending on your choice, which was interesting. I had to go back and do it.
Sweet. My 13, in no particular order,
Number 13.
is Tony Hawk 2. And the reason that this is on my list is because I played Tony Hawk 1, but I really was captivated by the soundtrack that they put in Tony Hawk 2. And that was the first time for me that I can really remember, with exception of your iconic Mario and Sonic and Zelda music, to have a soundtrack of popular artists set to a game. That was the first one for me. Like one of my fondest memories is pulling off the 900 Worlds Collide play.
Yeah,
in the background.
by Power Man.
Power Man 5000. Yeah, exactly. And that sticks with me today.
Yeah, me too.
That's why
Me too. I have that same memory.
when they re-released Tony Hawk,
And then they did
and
that song.
they had that song in there. It was
They
amazing.
were missing some of the tracks though,
Yeah.
which was disappointing to me
Yeah,
because there was
but-
a lot more. That was a good one, but there were some ones that I would have
Yeah.
missed.
Was
But
the
yeah,
remake good? I didn't play it. Was the remake good? I didn't play
It's
it.
not bad.
I'll
Yeah, I mean,
check it out.
for a little downloadable title, it's not bad. If you are a diehard old school Tony Hawk fan, you're gonna like it.
I remember playing the first one for just.
Does it have the
Constantly.
cheats in there still that basically unlocks everything right at the start?
I don't remember.
And then you like never fall and stuff like that. One of my buddies, I was really young, so I just wanted to, yeah. So I had that cheat in like instantly.
I don't know. I didn't
Playing
try
as
to put it in.
Spider-Man, he had this cool
Yeah.
front flip that he would
He'd
do.
kick the board out and then web sling it back to him. But yeah, again, for me, one of the first games that, along with like Crazy Taxi and stuff like that, to really
Soundtracks
to-
made that.
soundtracks kind
Offspring
of
and
made
that, yeah.
made the game more enjoyable.
Yeah,
I agree.
absolutely.
Sweet.
Number 13 for me comes from Portal 1.
Cake is a lie.
The cake is a lie.
That's a good one.
I thought that was one of the funniest, coolest closings to a video game ever made. I'm sorry if you didn't play it because it's going to ruin the joke, but kind of leading into it, I forgot how many portals in the first one, like 20 or 21 or 22.
Oh, those how many stages or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah,
around
it's
there. It's
from
like
the 20s.
And leading, kind of the backstory is kind of leading into the last 4 or 5. They start referencing how once you're done with all these testing phases, there's going to be cake to reward you for all of your hard work. And
Kind of
once you
fun.
get at the end, and it all kind
This
of
was a triumph. I'm making a
You and your music.
yeah,
huge success.
This is copyrighted, so I wouldn't play too much of this.
yeah,
Yeah.
We
probably.
got 15 seconds.
I mean,
I'm not Fox. Jonathan Colton's not going to sue
Jonathan
me.
Colton's a cool guy. and
Okay,
all,
15
but-
seconds.
Jonathan Colton's
but
not
they-
going to
but
sue
Valve
me.
may have some of the rights to
No.
that because it's
No.
not sung by him; it's done by Ellen. Something.
I'll play the Jonathan Colton one. No.
So anyway,
There's another
it was a
version,
really cool idea. They kind of led it to that you're going to be rewarded with all types of cake once you completed the portal session, and of course, that's not the way that the game ends. And I'll leave it at that.
From the very start, when you have to kill the companion cube, if anybody had that on their list, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. That you knew that game was going to be fucked up from the start.
It was a good game.
Yeah.
It was a great game.
Very
It's
good.
One of the
Yeah.
best
absolutely
games of the
hilarious.
I wish it was in my top 15 because it is probably
It's great.
in my top 15. It's just hard to remember all those.
That's exactly what it is. You're going to keep reminding each other of
Yep.
all these great ones. So.
Yep.
Number 12.
Number 12 for me, it's the beginning of ActRaiser. The original ActRaiser for Super Nintendo was the first 16-bit game I played that was not Super Mario World or Street Fighter 2, and holy crap! So basically, ActRaiser was all about showing off the Super Nintendo. So the title screen would deform and twist and shape around as it came up to you, and it used scaling to zoom in on things as you were like flying down from the sky. You played as God, and you had to clear the land of monsters to make room for your people, and then form the land for them and direct them on how to build it. So this weird cross between SimCity and like an action platformer, and it just like it had beautiful music. It had very interesting visuals, and it used a lot of like special effects and stuff. It was just a lot of fun, and like it was the first really 16-bit game that I really, really played that wasn't like something I had already seen,
Yeah.
and it was just really cool.
You know, I don't think anybody has it on their list, but you kind of triggered the thought, and I'm going to throw. Has anybody got Star Fox?
No,
No.
The first barrel roll was cool.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
There's another honorable mention.
yeah.
Yeah, that'd be honorable mention.
Your number 12, sir.
Number 12, I threw this in after you reminded me of it, was the Mass Effect 2 Suicide Run. That thing was so awesome in every regard. I mean, they took like every major aspect from the game to, determine if somebody lived, somebody died. I mean, there's just so many cool things about it that games didn't do very much before that was, putting the first part of the game, that decision making, that's a core part of games that I love, and that's one of the best ones that showed it off to me right away.
Yeah, I still haven't gotten to that.
I know.
But I know that entire trilogy had an amazing amount of choices in it. So
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
And it's a fantastic moment because, at least I can get to it when I get to mine because it's on my list as well.
Yeah.
But I absolutely agree that it is a fantastic moment.
Girlfriend's here, dog's attacking her.
nice.
Good dog.
And you're back just in time for your number 12.
My number 12 would have to be the final level from Doom 2. Does anybody remember this?
Mecha Hitler. Isn't
Yeah.
it?
No,
No,
that's
that's
Wolfenstein.
Wolfenstein.
The final level from
Is that
Doom-
John Carmack? Or is that the hidden one?
No. The Doom 2. You descend in, like, it starts off and it's just, there's a pillar, there's an altar, and you go down under the altar, and it's just pitch black and everything coming at you.
Oh, really?
I don't know if you can beat that. I never have.
Okay.
I've never bothered to go back and look into it, but I died there every single time. And I mean, like...
Isn't it IDDQD as God mode?
When
right?
you had God mode on, it deactivated God
Really?
mode. Yes.
Oh,
so
that's
I
pretty
don't
rough.
know if that's passable or not. I think the longest I've ever... It's just an
It made
infinite
it to the
wait.
end of the
Survival,
game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's how Doom. To me, that's how Doom 2 ends.
That is- yeah,
is
that's
in
cool.
that final, and it's just pitch black, a couple of torches, and just enemies coming at you. I don't know. So like you're in hell. Yeah, that's where it ends for me.
Rock on. My number 12 is going to come from Arkham Asylum. And I'm referencing...
Tread lightly.
I'm referencing the Scarecrow scene. When Batman gets, what is it, the gas?
Fear poison.
Fear
Yeah.
poisoned? Okay. And he starts hallucinating. If I remember correctly, it took place in a morgue the first time.
Yeah.
And you start hallucinating, and you're having flashbacks to how your parents were initially killed. And you're kind of zoning in and out of consciousness. And to me, I thought that was extremely cool to be brought to you in a video game. I think Rocksteady, did a perfect job.
You see that body laying there, and then all of a sudden it like flashes and disappears.
And then you hop into those awesome, amazing scenes where you actually fight the Scarecrow, where you kind of have
Yeah.
to run in a circle around a building and hide from his glare.
Yeah.
And those were a cool plateau of leading after.
That got into my honorable mention.
Womp womp.
Womp womp. No, it is great.
Where are we at?
Number 11.
Number 11. Ryan.
For me, in Chrono Trigger, 2300 AD, when you go into the archives and discover how the world ends, and the characters decide that they're going to go back in time and fix it, was awesome. There's just you basically, like, these kids are just getting stuck, tossed around in time, kind of by accident, and they come to realize that about 300 years prior to where they landed, the world literally pretty much gets destroyed. And they're like, we got to do something about this. Nobody else in the world has hope anymore. Hope is just gone. Like, they don't even think about saving themselves. Everyone's just waiting to die, and these kids are like, no, we got to do something. And it's just a really cool moment. And it's like, time travel is always fun.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah,
cool,
very
cool
cool.
moment.
Fucking A.
My number 11 would be reliving all of the classic Disney scenes in Kingdom Hearts. I think that game did a fantastic job.
I think that's all I liked about Kingdom Hearts.
that was a big part for me as
be
well.
honest,
It
just-
gave a new spin on the characters, and
That had to be the coolest part, because it definitely wasn't the males who had female hair and female features.
oh yeah, no, I mean that was one of the coolest parts was going to all
Every
the
time
new worlds.
the MC Chris rant.
The worst jumping in history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet. My number 11 would have to be the discovery of the final boss in Smash Brothers, Master Hand.
Oh yeah.
It's like, what the fuck is that? Like, I would have envisioned that, I don't know, I mean, I know Bowser's in the game and everything, but I thought they would have gone something like that. It's just giant Mickey Mouse hands that you're fighting, and they're like, its actual moveset is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, it's just like knocking you
It's
around,
just slapping you,
Yeah.
flicking you, or like walking on the two fingers. Absolutely ridiculous. But also kind of, for me, harkens back to some of the old Looney Tune cartoons. Like when Daffy Duck, when they redraw Daffy Duck and he was the screwball and stuff like that. It was really very meta moment of the game.
Absolutely.
Very cool. My number 11. This was it took me, let me go into a little backstory here. I'm talking about when Samus took her helmet off. Back then, I didn't beat the game for a really long time, because back then games were a little harder. I wasn't as good at it. It took me a while to figure it out.
Maybe have the attention span.
But luckily, back then the internet wasn't around quite yet. So, or it was in a very
Not for us, yeah.
not a readily available state. So back then there was no spoilers. There was no you didn't find stuff out. So if you didn't beat a game for a year or two, you were fine. You were still surprised by the ending. And then when that happened, that was one of my biggest oh shit moments in all of gaming history.
Oh yeah, no, that was a cool moment.
Blew me away. I thought it was a dude the whole time.
Oh yeah. Well, even in the manual they call it a man.
Instantly pull down
In the
your
Metro
pants. And
manual.
oh,
it's so
your first sexual encounters with Samus.
Yeah.
Number 10. Top 10.
For me, slightly controversial. Not a great game, but a great moment. Final Fantasy 13. The only reason I beat Final Fantasy 13 is because I lost my job and I had nothing to do. The first 35 hours of the game, not that great. Very linear, kind of dull. Then at some point, you will go to another planet and you enter an area called the Archlight Steppe. It is a giant open area with every monster imaginable from like the Final Fantasy games, and from like tiny little slimes to gigantic dinosaur-sized enemies, like just huge enemies that like will literally step on you and kill you in a move.
Okay.
And you kind of can go around this whole area, and it's just like the animals run in packs, and some animals will attack other animals, and it feels like almost like a vibrant like safari type environment, and it's really cool, and it's much more open than the rest of the game. And as soon as you finish that area, the game closes up again. But that one scene when you first walk into that field and you see like this pack of like, I can't remember what the enemy name was, but they're kind of like wildebeest or something, running around chasing other animals, and you see this giant, it's like a giant turtle. I can't remember. I think it was adamantoise. Just literally like it's like imagine Godzilla walked up to you in a game and you'd see nothing to that scale at this point. It was just crazy.
Nice.
It was really cool. Rest of the game,
Not so much.
not so much. If they could just have put that moment way earlier, I think they would have kept a lot more people into the game.
Okay. Top 10.
My number 10 would be the Battlefield 1942 map of El Amin. Literally, this was one of the first maps I jumped into way back when I got in my PC in 2000, early 2000s, whatever. And literally, this was the most epic maps I think Battlefield 1942 ever had. They threw Spitfires, you had air, tanks, and land battles going on at the same time, and in 64 person servers, it was like the most epic multiplayer gaming I had ever done as a child, and to this day still remains one of my all-time favorite multiplayer moments.
Nice. My number 10 is was a little bit lower on your list, and that was I'm going to modify it slightly. First fatality in Mortal Kombat. I remember the first one that I saw, which was the pit. Okay, I remember exactly where I played Mortal
Getting
Kombat.
thrown into the acid or getting hit up
the
in
pit, the spikes.
The spikes,
Yeah.
the bridge in Mortal Kombat 1. It was a little coffee shop on Dempster in Morton Grove. Okay. They had Mortal Kombat, the arcade in there, sitting there playing it, and it was Sub-Zero uppercutted me into the pit. And I was like, what the fuck just happened? What is this?
Those are really cool.
Yeah.
They were so shocking, even when you knew one was coming or whatever, and you, and you hadn't seen it yet. They were always so fucking cool. My number 10. This goes back to the PS2 days, original Xbox. Medal of Honor Frontline. The original scene. They had a very similar one when you stormed Omaha, but I prefer the one.
Normandy?
That was the one in Mission or Assault. Allied
Assault. Yeah.
But I prefer the one in Frontline where you storm Normandy as opposed to the Omaha Beach. They're very similar. Very, very cool. You actually open up the scene in the boats that are storming Normandy. That's where the cutscene and all the credits roll. The door drops down and you're immediately thrown into bullet fire. You actually fall into the water, and bullets are still streamlining into the water. You come out. They have the gun turrets on either side firing at you. Tons of enemies.
Very, very disorienting because you
was.
don't know where
you're
going.
A lot going in when you're just trying to learn the controls of the game. There's so much going on, and to me, it's one of the most iconic scenes in all of gaming, let alone the first-person genre.
I agree.
Yeah, great moment.
Agreed. Number 9.
Number 9 for me is a moment that everybody experiences at some point. It's getting into the zone in Tetris. When you get to that point where you are just unstoppable and nothing in the world exists except for those blocks falling down. I remember being at my uncle's house and playing Tetris for like 3 straight hours on my Game Boy. Nothing else in the world existed. I got like level 30 or 40, I can't remember. Every game, not every game, but a lot of games have that moment. And the first time you feel that moment, no matter what the game, is fantastic.
Tetris is one of those just amazing. It's in its simplicity. It's so fucking cool. I love Tetris.
You know, that really quick. That's one thing. They keep trying to reinvent the wheel with all the different Tetris.
Leave Tetris alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you don't even
Tetris
have
is
to.
awesome.
You don't even have to upgrade the fucking graphics.
Make it in color, and
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
Tetris is fucking awesome.
Absolutely.
My number
I said that,
9.
sorry.
I am giving it to the twist from Bioshock 1, labeled Would You Kindly. I thought that was one of the coolest video game twists I probably had experienced to that point, and it was overall just awesome.
Tell
the
everybody
whole
what
way
it
through.
is.
So another, yeah, you could probably spoil that. That's another
Bioshock 1?
Yeah.
Well, it's one of the greatest games ever made.
Yeah.
If
It's
people
okay.
haven't played it, I mean, I highly suggest going back and doing
That's
so.
on my list too.
I
Yeah.
I totally forgot. I blanked on Bioshock. You're talking about the one that happens a little over halfway through the game, right?
No, you're
No,
talking
it's
about
towards-
the
it's
Andrew Ryan.
near the end.
Yeah, it's
no,
at the end.
yeah, where it's revealed to you, if I may,
Sure.
that everything you've done has been you've been following commands. Like the whole game, this guy's been saying to you, "Would you kindly flip that switch? Would you kindly get that for me? Would you kindly do this?" And the whole time at the end, you discover that that was a code word that you've been programmed as a person to react to "Would you kindly?" And you as a gamer kind of feel like, "Holy shit! I've been pushed around as much as the guy in the game has been pushed around." Yeah.
Very revolutionary.
Number 9 for me. One of my favorite wrestling games of all time is WWF No Mercy. I think even if you weren't a wrestling fan, at some
was
point or
fun.
another, you played this game. The final match when you're doing the story mode, it's revealed to be that Vince McMahon calls out the first ever Hall of Fame inductee, Andre the Giant, to fight you. And I remember no music. It's just him, and it's the view that they have. Andre the Giant, if anybody doesn't know, he was like 7'4", massive man, and he just comes towering out.
Eighth wonder of the world?
Mm-hmm. And you have to defeat Andre the Giant to beat the story mode.
It's not his fault he's the biggest and the strongest. He doesn't even exercise.
This is true. It's true. But yeah, just that moment of like, and it was also like the first time they ever put quote unquote legends in a game. To have Andre the Giant come out in that game, you're like, holy shit.
Big shit.
It is. It was very
I
a very
enjoyed the
defining moment.
hell out of those WWE games from like N64 era.
All right, my number 9. I'm gonna split this into 2 parts. I wrote it as the culmination of Super Mario Brothers 1, where you finally find the princess. But what I feel is just as iconic was going through the previous worlds and continuously running into that. Thank you, Mario, but our princess is in another castle.
Flipping the bird.
Was pretty much was just as cool because you didn't know when the game ended back then, and you kept doing that, and you're like, well, she's in another castle. Well, she's in another castle. Well, she's in another castle, and that anticipation just kept building, and then you finally rescue her at the end of World 8, and then it all comes together, and I just think that was cool.
Also a fun song.
Weird.
My number 8 is the moment I realized how big the world was in Fallout 3.
Okay.
I did not like Oblivion. Oblivion was the first game of that style that I had played, and I remember getting on the Xbox because I was really impressed by seeing some stories about it and thinking that the idea was really cool, but I just couldn't get into it. And I had a coworker who, and this is when I worked with just one other guy in a warehouse, and he kept coming in late, and he was driving me nuts. I was like, dude, why are you coming in late so often? He's like, I got Fallout 3. I'm like, that's no excuse. Come on, it's just a game. Then I got Fallout 3, and I was staying up till 3 in the morning. But the first time, when you start playing Fallout 3, you start off in like a vault, so you don't realize how big the world is. And you get outside, and you still don't really realize how big the world is, and you walk to Megaton. But then you get out of Megaton, you start wandering a little bit more, and you come to realize this place is huge.
Yeah.
What if you don't get out of Megaton? What if you get bored there and you just murder everyone?
Well, then
That's what I did.
then you're wasting your time because you can just blow the city up.
I know.
It's not on my list. I mean, no, that's cool.
Go ahead.
What are we at? Number 8, right?
Number 8.
Number 8. Mine would have to be the original Pokemon choice. Who you got? Did you get Charmander? Did you get Bulbasaur? Or did you get Squirtle?
Charmander.
Yeah, Charmander. He always made your game harder, though.
Yeah, I went with Charmander.
Yeah. I mean, I did them all, so literally that was like such
I mean,
a
my
hard...
original
I
choice
loved them
was Charmander.
all, so I literally had such a hard time choosing between them. Anytime I would go back through, I want
Charmander.
the other one. And it was so hard to find the original 3 after you got
After
out
that,
of the,
yeah.
pissed me off because I loved all 3
Unless
of
you
them.
had 2 Game Boys and you cheated.
Yep, that's how I ended up doing it.
That's what I did.
Traded my sister. Hey, you're not using your game. I think I erased it one time.
Yeah,
She got
right.
mad. But anywho, I mean that was a great moment.
Charmander.
Sure.
All right, we on 8, right?
8.
Okay, number 8. This one's a little obscure. It's Majora's Mask, but it's a specific point about Majora's Mask. It's when time runs out. When
the world?
Huh? Yeah.
the
when
world.
when the moon crashes into Termina, and I just remember like I would always have like 3 of the 4 giants, and they'd come out and they'd try so hard, but there was no stopping that moon from crashing into the world, and then you start it over again. It's just like, what the fuck? So many times, like again, it was back in the day when you didn't have the internet. You just kind of got thrown into a world and you had to figure shit out. I didn't realize that I had to. I knew the time warp and everything. I didn't know how many dungeons there were and everything like that. How many giants I needed to stop it. So of course you're gonna try it, and I failed so many times. That scene is so iconic to me. Is the failure aspect of
You didn't
yeah.
have the internet. I ordered Ocarina of Time off of Amazon.
Did you?
I did.
Well, I mean, I had
yeah,
like
but it was
AOL,
not- it was
but
not,
I mean,
yeah.
I still have my Majora's Mask strategy guide with my notes in it for what time events took place.
Number 8 for me. This comes in one of my favorite games of this generation and of all time, Uncharted 3. I didn't want to waste 2 spots, but there's 2 of the most iconic scenes I've ever seen in video gaming, so I just combined them into number 8. For those of you who have played it, which I know
Stop
is
cheating.
nobody else on this table, right? Have you played Uncharted 3?
No.
Okay, nobody here knows what I'm talking about, but maybe one of you out there does. First of which, there's the plane scene, which if you've played, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You have an airplane with a cargo net coming out the back, and you're in an epic battle, and there's all types of shit flying off the back of the plane that are trying to take you out. You get knocked back, and you barely catch the cargo net, and you're slowly climbing up it, and you got dudes shooting at
Crates
you.
and shit.
It's
flying at you.
insanity.
I've seen the scene.
Yeah. And another scene from that same game, which I think is just as iconic, I don't know which one I liked better, was, of course, the sinking cruise ship, which was just as cool because you were in this epic battle and you're trying to get out of there before the water overtakes everything. And at one point, you're swinging from a huge, like, $20,000
And
chandelier.
the boat kind of tilts at points and things like that, which kind
It's
of
as
changes
the
the
boats,
perspective.
yeah, it's as the
you're
boats go
climbing.
down.
Yeah.
It's insane, yeah, because then the water level keeps crawling up. So as you're fighting, you're climbing on the walls and climbing on chandeliers and swinging and jumping, trying to stay above the water as the cruise ship sinks. It's
Yeah.
really fucking cool.
Very nice. Number 7.
Sorry, I get
halfway,
hard on.
so halfway there. Look, I knew what you were talking about. Did you see that? Aren't you impressed?
I am. Way to go, Jace.
So my number 7 has already been brought up. It's Would You Kindly from BioShock. Very cool moment that we've gone over. I don't know if anybody has anything to add.
No, I mean,
Well, it's your. If you want.
want-
I already
to
said.
Yeah.
No, I already said how I felt about it. So we can
Okay.
go on.
Number 7.
My number 7. This one I kind of threw 3 into this one. It is.
Stop cheating.
It's video game songs with a comedic intention.
Watch it or I might play it.
I have Still Alive's on there. I have the Plants vs. Zombies ending song. No, I don't want it. I don't.
I'm not yet. Don't touch my phone.
And then I also have the Mass Effect 2 Morden's song. It was I forget
Yeah,
the name
it's,
of it.
I can't remember the name of the
Solarian.
song. Yeah, I am the very model of a modern. Well, the song is being parodied as I am the very model of a modern Major
Yeah, yeah.
General.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's from, but I am the very model of a scientist Solarian. Yeah.
And I love that they let you repeat it. If you kept talking to him, best thing ever, because I had him repeated
well,
4
and
times. as
spoilers. When he dies in Mass Effect 3,
He makes the
he sings a
reference.
song as he's dying, as
Yeah.
he's getting
Really?
yeah. Oh, it's a sad moment when he
Oh, oh god, that was
was
like my
like, "No!"
favorite character other than like Garrus, probably.
yeah.
Nice.
Oh,
He was awesome.
yeah, he was.
My number 7 in no particular order.
Emotional
particular
attention.
order.
No. Would be Psycho Mantis from Metal Gear Solid.
Oh yes.
That whole scene just really fucked with me.
Yeah.
That was. I've had moments where video games kind of take you out of the moment, but I've never had one as thoughtful as where me as a person kind of got pulled into the game a little bit more. Like, yes, I've played as the characters, and you kind of get into it, you get into the world and everything, but not have a game where it's like talking to me directly. I know Eternal Darkness did it and everything like that, but
Metal
by
Gear
the
did it
same,
first.
yes, Metal
Yeah.
Gear did it first, and that was always the most impactful, to have that character kind of turn and directly talk to me.
Yeah.
Even though it's a gimmick, you know,
Oh
you
yeah, no,
figured
but it was
out.
awesome.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, Metal Gear did it first. But Eternal Darkness, the whole game was that.
Oh yeah,
But yeah, Metal Gear did it first.
yeah.
Cool. Number 7. This comes from the Force Unleashed 1. There's this part when you're approaching the end of the game where you are basically on the Death Star and you're fighting in the rafters of the ultimate weapon, the beam that's going to blow up
Yeah.
planets and whatnot, and it actually starts charging up to take a shot as you're fighting off enemies, and it was so cool because I'm an old school Star Wars nerd from the original trilogy, as I
He's so old.
mentioned in part 1. So
It's okay, I'm still.
so seeing some of that happen that you knew was kind of crossing into the original trilogy and kind of seeing it happening in the background as you're facing enemies was just one of the coolest things I've ever seen in the storyline. I love that.
Very good, very good.
I got chills when I was playing it. It was so cool.
Number 6.
Number 6. In Dragon Age 2, toward the end of the game, one of your companions goes nuts and blows up the church. The church plays a big role in the world of Dragon Age. They're pretty much in charge of everything. And he doesn't like the church. He's a mage. The churches and mages kind of fight. The churches keep the mages down, and he's against that. He
Fight
kinda-
the power.
He kind of like alludes to the fact that something's going on, but he doesn't tell you what he's doing. You're like, what's he gonna do? Come on. And you find out like this is like there's like maybe 2 hours left in the game. He just blows the fucking church up, like the whole massive church, like the head church. Kaboom! Like terrorist style.
Nice.
And he's on your team, and you have to decide what to do with him.
What'd you do?
Thankfully, or not thankfully, the PS3 version has a bug that doesn't save your game at that point.
Okay.
On the
Oh.
PS3, if you have the DLC,
Okay.
the saves gets corrupted. So I've played through it multiple ways. I've killed him, and I have let him live.
First time though. What
First
was
time,
your choice?
it was rough because I was trying to decide what to do because depending on how you decide to go from there, some people will leave you and some people will stay with you. And I chose to keep him alive only because the people in the church are real pricks. Like, I didn't.
You're like,
agree-
I don't totally disagree with you.
I don't agree with what he did. Yeah, they're dicks.
That's hilarious.
So I let him go, and then like only one person left my party. This guy, the other DLC character, who's very religious, will just walk off and leave. But if you've built enough like goodwill from other characters, they'll stick with you,
Okay.
even if they disagree with you. So everybody
Nice.
else stuck with me. But
Hard decision.
yeah, I was like
I love BioWare
like,
for that stuff.
that was like the one time, like it was cool because you don't get to make the big decision. Like,
Yeah.
he's going to do it no matter how you treat him, no matter how you play the game, whether you are friends with him or not. He will blow up that church.
Yeah.
And you only have to decide what to do after that. And I thought that was really cool.
Nice.
My number 6 will come from Call of Duty 1, the expansion pack, which was United Offensive. And it comes in the first mission. It has you playing as the Americans, and literally you start off in a Jeep and you're doing a scouting
America.
mission.
America.
And literally you find out the entire German army is coming through, because this is at the Battle of the Bulge. You find out the entire German army is coming through your lines right now, and you're on a scout mission, so you got like 4 people with you. So you rush back. It's like it's like a rail shooter. You're on a machine gun just gunning people down, and they can't really do anything. And then you get back to the lines, and you have to get into they actually have foxholes you have to get into. And they give you a machine gun, and they make you run around. There's literally like 10 tanks that come after you, and it's one of the first games also where the AI is not shooting directly at you. You have 40 other people like around you, and they're shooting at them and you. And literally, it's one of the most epic scenes.
You feel like a bigger part of a smaller part of a bigger.
Enough games don't do that.
Yeah.
They're always focusing on you.
Yeah. That's why I love the original Call of Duty, because they actually they shoot the other teammates. But literally, this is one of the scenes I want them to put this into Call of Duty Classic 2 or whatever they're going to do. This is one of the most standout scenes of Call of Duty of all time. It is fantastic. The music, they have a musical score that kicks in halfway through the battle that is just, I've completely forgot about it until now. It's probably one of my favorite pieces of gaming history. It's amazing. I
Nice.
loved it.
My number 6, and I think we should go ahead and warn people. Some of mine involve spoilers at this point.
I think we've all had some spoilers.
My
It's
number
not
6.
Bioshock Infinite.
My number 6 is the spoiler to the Spike video game of the year last year.
Walking Dead.
Walking Dead.
Walking Dead.
Yeah. If you don't want to hear it, go ahead and I mentioned it before without spoiling too much. I cried. I literally cried at the end of Walking Dead when you have to tell Clementine how to go about killing you.
I can hear you. In
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get bit.
Okay.
You get bit. And you're
rooting for
You're
her.
literally laying there, and you're directing Clementine what to do in order to go off on her own and survive. Everyone else is gone. It's just you and her, and you can't go on with her any further.
Yeah, it didn't make me cry, but it's probably as close I ever got to it in a video game. I remember I was the first one to beat it.
Yeah.
I couldn't wait for you fucks to finish, so I had somebody to talk about it with.
Yeah.
Because it left such a permanent stain in my head, and I wanted to vent and explain, but I didn't run.
It was
away
great
with
for
you
like a
guys.
month. We had to talk and catch up.
And now where we can discuss it, and it's going back to our Game of the Year pick from months ago. I think on that final scene alone, for me, it can forgive all the mistakes and the errors graphically and whatever that the game made leading up to that final moment.
And if you'll excuse me, I don't need a lobotomy.
All right, number 6.
It's still the adventure to get to that point.
I know. Yeah, I know. I
It's
just
still
haven't
the
had a chance to
adventure to
time to
get
play it,
there.
and I really want to.
Yeah.
Number 6. The first time I fought Mike Tyson in Punch-Out.
Yes,
man.
yes. I just uploaded that picture to our photo gallery like 2
The one of
nights
me?
ago. The punch out picture that you put up on our Facebook.
Yeah, because I knocked
Yeah.
out Glass Joe in like a minute after not playing the game for like 20
207.
years.
207
Yeah, whatever it
was
was.
your time.
To me, I got slaughtered.
Everybody got slaughtered. It
Yeah.
was oh man.
It was one of the hardest bosses
Yes.
in video gaming. There's nothing you can do to get out of his way. Jesus Christ, it was so much fun. I remember the first, because back then it was so rudimentary. I mean, you got knocked out and it's just like, well, game over.
Yeah. It was one punch knockouts.
Here's Glass Joe again. Yep. And you're just like, what?
You, in a way, you are Mike Tyson's Glass Joe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I mean, it was just, oh my god. And then after hundreds of tries, I finally beat him, and it was using many techniques that were passed down to get past them once people started figuring it out and whatnot. But the first time you saw it, you're just left in awe. You're just like, what the fuck am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
It was impossible. You
Wiped my
basically
face.
couldn't dodge half his attacks. 1 or 2 hits and you were done.
Yep.
It was just, I don't know, mind-blowing.
Absurd.
Mike Tyson, Punch-Out.
Number 5.
Number 5. Not a spoiler. It is Bioshock Infinite, but it's toward the beginning of the game.
That's good. I'm passing that.
When you first arrive in Colombia and you're walking around the streets
Okay,
of
yeah.
Colombia, you come upon a little airship with a barbershop quartet, and they're singing a cover of a Beach Boys song. And you're like, wait. At first, you don't catch the song. The game does this a number of times with cover songs from the modern or closer to modern times.
Yeah.
And you don't catch it at first until you're like, wait a minute. No, I know that song, but it doesn't sound like that.
It doesn't sound right.
And so you it's God Only Knows by the Beach Boys, sung by a barbershop quartet. And you're like, oh man, I'm in for something big. Something's going on here. Oh, this is going to be interesting. And that moment, it's really cool. I actually stopped and listened to the whole song and waited for the airship to fly away before I continued on. It was
Nice.
really cool.
Nice. My number 5 will be the twist that they put into KOTOR 1 and 2. I don't know. Should I go into them? I guess.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. At this
Yeah.
point, basically,
KOTOR's old as shit.
yeah, KOTOR 1, which you probably should have played. This is one of BioWare's early gems. Was literally the first one. You find out that your character was like the sidekick of the ultimate villain. And then the second one, you find out that one of your party members is actually like the ultimate villain. So I mean, they both literally. It was just at the time, it's like, oh fuck,
It's like
really?
M. Night Shyamalan ain't got shit on KOTOR.
Yeah.
M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah.
Malam.
Take that.
Yeah.
then the,
Mel Gibson.
Especially in the first one when your party starts to find that out, some people leave you, some people will They'll be like, well, guess I'll be evil with you. Sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
My number 5, which I don't expect anybody else to understand, is defeating Reichsman in City of Heroes. In classic comic book fashion, there's an alternate world where Statesman, the guy, basically the Captain America / Superman version in City of Heroes, joins the Nazi army and becomes Reichsman. So you have to fight him in an alternate dimension. So literally, you're fighting the main character from the game with all the same power-ups and abilities. What stands out to me, though, with it is I was a DPS. I was a scrapper, essentially a warrior for you WoW people out there. And they're leading up to him. You're fighting an entire army to get to him. When you get to him, you have to defeat 4 of the biggest villains in the game.
Storm, the dude from Killzone, some Sharkhead, and
So you have to defeat them in order to fight him. So you're already down. You're already kind of like half-lifed. And then he comes out and literally he hits a lightning strike and wipes out the entire party, except for the guy who is resistant to that particular attack, which happens to be me.
Not resistance.
So if everyone dies, you have to start all over again. I was able to maintain, barely able to keep up with this guy while my entire party fought their way back to me to get to him again, and then we were able to finally defeat him. It was one of the most amazing moments that I've ever had.
That actually sounds pretty epic.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. I had people cheering, like it was a party of 10 people, I believe, 8-10 people, like cheering me because I was able to maintain with him. And I'm screaming on my headset the whole time, like, hurry the fuck up! I can't do this much longer! Like sweat pouring down my face, my hands cramped, just that tension feeling, like, oh my god, if we fuck this up, it's over. We were like 3 hours in to this mission.
Yeah.
It was never going to happen again. And we did it. It was awesome.
Very cool. My number 5 comes from Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal.
Up Your Arsenal.
Now, I actually played these games out of order. I played the first one, then I went to Up Your Arsenal, then I went back to Going Commando. So they actually do a slightly less cool version in Going Commando, but I didn't know about it because I played Up Your Arsenal first. But Up Your Arsenal upped the game on what Going Commando...
It upped your arsenal.
Yeah, it upped it what Going Commando did anyway, so this is the better one. You basically get these magnetic-type boots that allow you to defy gravity in the Ratchet and Clank world. They allow you to walk on ceilings and whatnot. There's this level when you're approaching the end of Up Your Arsenal where you're basically in literally a completely circular tube that you can... Almost reminiscent of the old, like, Sonic games where you can literally go 360 in a big circle, in a big loop. Yeah. So you can walk anywhere you want to avoid damage. And there's this one part toward the end where so many enemies are coming at you and fire lines that you have to jump over and stuff. And it's still to this day one of the most beautiful levels I've ever seen in my life. With Ratchet and Clank is famous for using these weird oranges and yellows and purples and blues that are really off the normal beaten path of color palettes in video games. Almost like what Halo does, where explosions are so weird and colorful. Mm-hmm. And there's just so much going on, and it was one of the coolest concepts I've ever had because I wasn't used to being able to walk on ceilings and play stuff upside down and completely to the right 90 degrees or completely to the left 90 degrees and avoiding enemies while all this was going around in this circular tube as you're traveling forward throughout it. It was so much going on, and it's still one of the most memorable things I've ever played. I don't know how to explain it much better than that. I wish I could YouTube and show everybody what I'm talking about because it's truly amazing.
Yeah. Number 4.
Right. Number 4. My number 4 has been mentioned already. It's the suicide run in Mass Effect 2. It's just an awesome moment where everything that you've done culminates into this one final assault on the enemy. And if you've played it, if you've done your due diligence and played well, everybody can make it through. But if you skimped on anything, people are going to die. You're going to lose people. But my favorite
especially
moment,
who you picked for each part of the mission too. That also
would depend on who made it through.
Yeah,
I made it through with everyone.
I lost Jack the first time. Didn't care though, except for the achievement.
I like Jack. I actually had Jack as the biotic, when the scene when you pick a biotic to protect you, I chose Jack. And then in the third game, she references that as a turning point for her where she decides to protect other kids who are biotics. I don't know if when you played Mass Effect 3, I'm assuming she was dead.
Yep.
So she, you know that you go to the school with all the biotic students?
Yeah.
She's a teacher there.
Oh,
and
okay.
She's taking care of the kids.
See, I missed out on
and
that
she acts as
completely.
an advocate for the kids to keep people from like experimenting on them and fucking with them. It's really cool.
That's awesome.
And she cites that as a turning point where she realized that she could do good. I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm the ultimate paragon.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that was really cool.
All right, my number 4 that was sort of leaked earlier was the blowing up of Megaton in Fallout 3. First time through, I felt like being a nice guy, and then I went back, I don't even know, months after, and I started a new playthrough where I wanted to be evil. And, man, it's almost like you should blow that thing up, because it is one of the most beautiful explosions ever. Seeing a nuke go up from the top of the tower from the decision that you made was just absolutely awesome. And then going off that is actually going back there afterwards and seeing just everything is just, there's like a dust storm there, like permanent radiation and everything. It was awesome. Like literally, I wish I did it the first time through, but I was being a nice guy. It was so cool that I think probably some people end up missing because they, didn't do this option.
You get to make a few ghouls with it too. Don't some of the townspeople become ghouls?
Yeah,
at
they
that
do
point?
become ghouls,
Yeah.
yes.
It's pretty cool.
Nice. My number 4 is from one of my favorite games from the PS1 era. It's Twisted Metal 2. And the reason that this made my list is because how fucked up and twisted the endings were. Specifically, Minions. Minion was a demon from hell. And he won the Twisted Metal tournament and asked Calypso to go back to hell. And I was like, all right, and then all of a sudden you see him sitting at a bus stop with his his hand like covering himself, shivering, and the camera pans out and he's in Hell, Michigan. It's just, it kind of summed up the whole experience for me. Like a game that was so controversial for the blood and the gore and the violence and everything, to have these absolute cheesy, goofy endings really kind of meant, like, to me, it was the point where it's like, you can't really take something like this too serious. People are throwing such a fit about this. Look at this. You have a demon sitting at a bus stop.
Freezing.
Yeah, freezing. So, yeah, that for me, really kind of was the point where I was like, I can never really take a video game too serious.
For me, this little gem comes from Mario Kart. The first time, it was purely on accident, because again, back then, the interweb wasn't as prevalent as it is now. The first time I pulled off the Rainbow Road jump.
Oh, that thing's epic.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
So everybody knows exactly what I'm talking about. I did it by accident because I missed the turn or the whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't think I actually pulled it off. I think what happened was I drove off the road,
And you saw it?
fell, and saw that it was pretty close.
Yeah.
And then I tried it, like, intentionally. I'm like, oh, I got to drive up a few more feet and swerve off at that exact second, and then I landed it and was jumping up and down like a jackass. And I think I fell off because I was
probably.
celebrating later when I actually landed the
But
jump.
at that point, you just took 30 seconds out of the map.
Rainbow
so.
Road in general, just being in a racing game like that was an experience all on its own. Mm-hmm. That was awesome.
Yep.
All right.
Top 3.
Top 3. My number 3 is, I'm just going to call it The Baby in Super Metroid. This is a fantastic moment. Super Metroid has next to no dialogue, next to no actual like storyline plot moments really going on. Things happen over the course of the game, and there's some kind of story in there. But it's like, imagine Bioshock, but with no dialogue. Mm-hmm. That's Super Metroid. You get what I'm saying. So in the final boss battle, you are kicking the crap out of Mother Brain, and then Mother Brain just shoots this crazy beam at you that completely drains you. You can't move at all. And you're like, well, I'm done. And then at the very last second, the baby Metroid from the end of Super Metroid and the beginning, or the end of Metroid 2 and the beginning of Super Metroid, is now fully grown, shoots through into the room, latches onto Mother Brain, starts sucking the life out of her, because that's what the Metroids do. Completely drains Mother Brain. She just goes like, pretty much like turns to stone type of a thing. You know, the old games are, she gets completely desaturated and just sits in the corner and looks like she's dead. Then the Metroid gets up and comes toward you. And gives that energy to you. And fills you back up. You're like, this is awesome. This is the coolest thing ever. And as you're getting your health refilled, Mother Brain's coming back to life. Mother Brain comes back, kills the baby Metroid, and Samus is pissed. And this somehow, like video game logic, unlocks the Hyper Beam. And you are fighting these crazy-ass beams out of your gun that just send her head knocking back into the wall every time you hit her. It's just an awesome moment.
Yeah.
Just like super empowering and just like cool. Yeah, that was a great moment.
My number 3 would be the opening mission of Saints Row 3.
Yes, I love that shit.
That thing was so cool and just
So creative.
set the game up for what you're going to experience the whole time.
On the same level, I'd put the closing where you're running and the
I
final
was-
choice.
I was in between
you
both
got
of them.
Bonnie Tyler shit going in the
Yeah.
background, and the
I need
choice.
to download that song.
What was the choice at the back? You had to choose to save the building or save the girl.
Yeah.
And at the beginning too, you're falling out of the airplane.
Yeah.
You're parachuting
Yeah.
down. You're jumping in and out of
Yeah,
planes.
in and out of you jump in through the cockpit and then you run back through again.
Yeah.
My God, that was some clever writing.
Yes, I agree. That's why it's my number 3.
I totally forgot. It's another one I missed.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have included that somewhere.
My number 3 would have to be A Link to the Past. A specific moment in it. You do delve a little bit into it for a moment, but when you fight the I can never pronounce the wizard's name properly.
Oh, Aghanim?
Yeah, thank you. And you think the game's over, and then all of a sudden you get transported to the Dark World. And it's like there's a whole nother half of the game. It's like what you were talking about with Castlevania.
Yeah.
Like I said, you go into the Dark World a little bit as the little pink bunny, you get kicked around, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But when you finally transition, you realize that it's an entire world that you have to go through and kind of do it all over again. Yet you're not even halfway there. That was a real huge moment for me.
I was going to put this in my list. I was like, I bet Jason's going to have this on
Of
his
course.
list, and I left it
Of
off.
course.
One of the biggest oh you're a dumbass moments in my life came from A Link to the Past, where it's pretty early on. I forgot what you're trying to get. Something's on a bookshelf.
The book.
Oh, yeah, you had to run into the bookshelf. Yeah.
And I was just staring at it like, what the fuck does this game want me to do? And then you finally figure it out and you're like, geez, I'm such a dumbass. So that was one of my, like, you just made me think of it. That was one of my biggest, like, geez, dude, really?
Nice. Number 3 for you, sir.
Number 3. This was more or less either a level or maybe an entire 2 levels. I don't remember how they exactly broke it down. And this is in the original Modern Warfare, Call of Duty 4. Starts you off with you and Price, and you're on the ground. It's, of course, the sniper level.
Yeah.
And you're crawling through, and you're sneaking through pretty much an entire army. Mm-hmm. You're going very slow. You're killing very minimal amount of people because you're trying to avoid everything, including radiation and the...
Counting down the sniper shots. 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah.
And so much, there's so much, it was such a brilliant level.
It was.
Then you finally get through it, and the whole point of it was to, of course, snipe the one boss, and you take the shot, which is one of the most iconic pieces in any video game. And it's the first thing that I can recall in any sniper level where actually to take wind into account.
Yeah.
Where you could actually miss the shot. And then once you pull that off, you pretty much blew your cover. Mm-hmm. So you have the entire army chasing after you, and you're running through. You make a couple stands. Captain Price gets hurt. You have to fucking carry him.
Yep.
You have to wait. Then there's that
Wait
one
for the evac.
Yeah. Oh my God, is
That
that
was
some
good.
badass video gaming?
Call of Duty made some of the most iconic first-person shooters.
I don't quite remember if that was an entire level
It was
or
an entire
2
level.
levels.
It was an entire level.
I don't know if they
Entire
broke it
level.
off into 2
One-
is what I
one
meant.
entire level.
And that is one of the coolest
And
levels.
the reason that I remember
ever.
that because that was the last Call of Duty that I played. All the other ones after that were shit to me because that one was so epic and done properly.
Yeah. And there's like that almost Chernobyl-esque background when you're waiting
Yeah.
for the evac to
Yep.
come, where you got that. Everything's like kind of nuclear fallout with the what is it, the not a
Ferris
merry-go-round,
wheel.
Ferris wheel, the Ferris wheel in the background. You see, I think there's even bumper cars.
Yeah.
and
Because you can cover under them.
yeah. And, oh my God, what great level design.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Number 2.
Number
2. Okay, it wasn't really the first 3D game, like 3D platformer, but the first time I played an actual level in Mario 64.
I got blown away by that game.
Oh man, I remember before the N64 came out, like a couple months beforehand, and I had it on reserve, I had it on pre-order, but before it came out, they had them on display at Toys R Us's, and I would go to Toys R Us every day after school, and I would walk, and it was not a short walk, it was like a 20-minute walk, I would walk to
You went
Toys
to
R
what,
Us.
Golf Mill?
No. I walked to. It was in Evanston. You
Okay.
were. Oh, it's actually right where we used to work.
Yeah. There
That
used to
mall,
be the
there used
Toys R Us
there.
there,
I used to walk there. I used to live. It was probably like a 2 or 3 mile walk.
Okay.
I would go there like several times a week after school, and I would go and replay Mario 64 from the beginning.
Just
Because
spend
it was
your first,
so
your
awesome.
first 5 minutes just figuring out how to get Mario to go in a straight line as opposed to
Oh
moving
yeah,
in circles.
it was so cool. It was so cool, and just to take Mario and translate it so perfectly into 3D was so awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Miyamoto did an excellent job with that one. They brought
Number
him
2,
into the
sir.
fold.
My number 2 would be about the last 2 or 3 hours of all of Heavy Rain. Literally, like, finding out who the villain was, having all the characters get together. The last couple of scenes were just intense.
The cutting off your hands.
The cutting off their hands.
The hand was the finger, wasn't it? Or was it the
Or
hand?
finger, whatever
Finger,
the fuck
yeah.
it was. I don't
I mean,
remember.
there was just so many things in that game,
Yes.
but like the actual ending, like the I guess their twist of that game was just like, oh god,
You son of a bitch.
son of a bitch.
Of course, the villain is the one guy who speaks with a proper English accent.
Yeah.
Like American, because it takes place in like Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Everyone else has this really stilted accent.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But
Yeah,
literally
it's a
that
twist.
I don't know. You guys got the ending of it at least, where you're fighting on the
The rooftop.
Didn't play it.
No,
Well,
no,
the
no.
rooftop and then the turnabout or
Yeah,
whatever
It's like,
it is.
it's like the gravel lift or
Yeah,
whatever.
gravel lifter.
Yeah.
You're fighting on that, and like you're getting knocked down, and literally there's so many different ways in that
Mm-hmm.
game that endings would go, and it's just so good because I did go through and I saw all 27 or 33 different endings or something, whatever it was. Literally each one of them was just awesome, well developed, and great. I loved it.
On Heavy Rain, I still love. I think it's one of the funniest. Like, it's kind of inappropriate to laugh at it, but I find it funny is the whole scene at the beginning of the game with all the red balloons, and he's
Yeah,
running
yeah.
through the mall,
Yeah,
and he
yeah,
lost
yeah.
his kid, and he's Jason, and it's just like the expression Jason on his face, and he's just running around screaming,
Yeah.
terrified, and it's just like, calm down, dude.
There
And he keeps thinking he sees him, and I'm sitting there laughing at it, but it wasn't meant for that kind of scene.
There was an interesting statement made about that. I don't know if you guys ever read Penny Arcade, but when that came out and the guys at Penny Arcade played it, they both have kids, the guys who run that comic. And they're talking about how, like, it resonated so much with him because he had a kid and he was so afraid that something like that would happen to him that thing really spoke to him. Like, I don't get that because I don't have a kid and I don't understand, but I can just see how they can be like, that can be
The
like
panic
the
that comes over
scariest thing that could happen to you.
I can relate to
Yeah.
it. It happened to me a couple times when I left the dogs in the yard and I'd go inside to take a leak or whatever, and you come out and one isn't in the yard. It's this like thing that comes over you like, oh shit, dude! Like,
Yeah.
did he just get run over? Where
Yeah.
the fuck is he? I guess the closest thing you can equate it to. Did you ever reach into your phone or in your pocket for your phone and it's not there? That sense of
Oh shit!
I've only done
What
that
the hell?
once.
Oh, I done
but
that.
that same feeling that
Yeah.
comes over you, even if it's only for milliseconds, till you reach the other pocket and you're like, oh, there are your keys.
I imagine it's worse.
Why
if
did
you
I
have
put
a
it in my
kid.
sweater pocket?
Yeah.
Dumbass.
It's essentially the same feeling. It's just you get over it a little quicker. It's that just, oh my God, what the fuck am I about to do? I'm about to have a panic attack. So,
My number 1 and 2 are kind of interchangeable, and it was kind of a toss up, but I'm going to go with this one, and that is the ending of Arkham City. And the reason that this is so iconic to me is being a Batman fan. They've always kind of teased about killing the Joker. That'd be the ultimate end game for Batman is to end that relationship with the Joker. And in the way that it's done in Arkham City is you don't actually kill the Joker. He more or less kills himself by knocking the vial of the antidote out of your hand and breaking it on the floor. And he looks at you, and Batman goes, you've killed so many people and you've done all this, and the sad part is I would have saved you. And Joker starts laughing. And literally, the final scene of the game is Batman carrying Joker out of Arkham in his arms.
Yeah.
Which was phenomenal.
Yeah.
So that was, and I mean, I was just like jaw dropped. Holy shit! Somebody finally had the audacity to do it. And I know Frank Miller did it in Dark Knight Returns and everything. But as far as
I was gonna say Kingdom Come, they do it as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
but it wasn't Batman who did it.
Exactly, and just like the interaction there between the two was amazing. It's like you almost felt bad because Batman felt bad that he couldn't save the Joker. So that's my number 2.
my number 2 is the ending to Halo Reach. Once the unbeatable level, if
Yeah.
you will. it wasn't just how they did, because I'm such a huge Halo fan, and I think it was one of the best prequels to anything ever, not just in the video game world, in general, just media in general. I think it was so well done and tied the story in and brought you into how Halo was going to start so well. And that level in general, just it did such a perfect job of creating this desolate environment, and it made you feel so alone, like in this way that
No music.
no other game has ever made you feel. And it was just so like the goal was so unachievable, and then you start getting hit because there's no way to beat it, and you can survive for a while, but eventually you're going to start getting hit, and your
Visor
face,
starts
your
cracking.
screen starts cracking, and there's, like you were saying, there's just no sound, and it's just like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like chilling, like
Very,
what
very,
they
very
what they
much.
did in that game. And you're just sitting there, and you're just like,
You know, and you
the
see
sense,
you see the rocket,
Yeah.
going and everything, and
the sense of hopelessness coming over you, and a video game has never been able to capture me in that.
And I mean,
way.
I'm not a huge Halo fan, but playing through that experience was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think the longest I've seen somebody go, Andy, was like 15 or 17 minutes.
It's hard.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them coming at you.
Oh yeah.
So
Time to bring it home. Number
It's funny,
one.
my number one is in the same vein. It's not the same game. But in Final Fantasy VI, The World of Ruin, about a third of the way, maybe halfway through the game, the world gets destroyed. Everyone, it's a Final Fantasy, so of course the whole point of the game is to not get the world destroyed. The world gets destroyed. The whole way through the game, there have been kind of two villains. There's the one that people just kind of laugh at like he's a joke, and then there's one they take seriously. And it turns out you should have switched them. So the guy that you think is like this really bad guy, he is a bad guy, but he's not as bad as his number two. And at the end of the game, his number two goes around and just stabs him in the back, literally.
A2 Brute?
And takes over and basically upsets the balance of the world. There's basically there's this thing about how like, these three statues of goddesses act as a balance point for the world, and he just kind of shoves them all over, and
It's like, man.
he absorbs all the magic of the world.
Man, see? Man.
And the whole world literally, it doesn't get destroyed, but it goes what they call the world of balance to the world of ruin. The seas run red, the whole world shifts, places move on the map, everything's just like, it's post-apocalyptic. And
Frogs raining from the skies.
yes, cats and dogs sleeping together, it's anarchy. And you, as one of the main characters, wake up on this little island with one of the other characters, and depending on how you play, like in the next few minutes, that character may or may not die. It's a lot easier for that character to die than for that character to live, because as soon as he heals you, he gets sick, and so you're playing as this girl, Celis, and if you don't heal him, she tries to commit suicide.
Really?
Yes. And this is like 1994. And she jumps off a cliff on the
That's
island.
edgy.
Yeah, she jumps off a cliff on the island. She doesn't die. And what happens is she sees a bird with a little handkerchief around its wing, like it had been healed. And she realizes that other people in the party are still alive somewhere. And she sets off to find them. And that's like the re-beginning of the game halfway through.
Nice.
It's a fantastic moment on several levels. It's really cool. It just throws you for a loop, throws you for another loop, gets you really depressed, and then gets you back on track and gets you back into things. It's really cool.
Nice.
Very cool.
My number one moment in gaming history, I suppose, would be World of Warcraft. Literally back freshman year of high school, when I was considered a hardcore raider, going through Molten Core with 40 different people. 40 of, at that time, some of my closest friends, I guess. I mean, I never met any of them in my whole life. Literally, that was so... I don't know, like there's just something about raiding for 6 hours straight, and that is just one of the most memorable times of my life. Is just sitting at a computer for like 6 hours straight, talking to 40 people I've never met in my whole life.
My number one was going to go one of two ways. I was either going to talk about an experience, and that would have been the closure of City of Heroes, the final hours of that. But I didn't want to end on a down note, so I'm gonna end on a down note. My number one would be the ending of Gears of War 3. And the reason that I say that is and I'm not talking about the bullshit when Dom dies. It's the fact that after 18 years, Marcus finally sees his dad again, and he can't. Marcus, the guy who saves the world, can't save his own dad, and his dad dies, and he finally, they defeat the Locust, they defeat the Flood, and the scene where he just takes out, like walks out, everybody's cheering, he's pulling off his armor and just goes, sits down at the beach and just looks absolutely defeated. Like, what purpose does he have now? You know, he was a bred soldier, you know, from day one. He has, his existence is over now. You know, where do you go from there?
Yeah, Gears was quite the trilogy.
For being such a bro gamer,
we make fun of it a lot, but Gears of War is an excellent trilogy
Yeah.
with an excellent storyline.
Yeah, for being
we
such
goof
a-
around about Dom and his wife and
Yeah.
all that shit, but the way Gears 3 wrapped it all up, one of the best trilogies ever made.
Yeah.
It really is.
yeah. So, but yeah, that was quite a moment for me.
For me,
It's going to Uncharted.
it is. It's Uncharted 2. I've said it many times. It's my favorite game I've ever played, and it took a lot for a game to dethrone what was previously above that. I didn't think it'd ever be achievable. The whole game, from front to back, is, in my opinion, the greatest game ever made. But there was a specific point where, when I was playing through my first playthrough, where it just hit me that this was my favorite game ever. And it all stems from Uncharted 1, where you start building this relationship with Elena. But then in Uncharted 2, of course, you meet Chloe. And you kind of get the sense that they had this amazing historical past together. But they don't quite key you all into it. And you knew that you knew her before you had ever even met Elena. But you had this romantic thing going on with Elena. But you could tell, you know, you had something with Chloe. And a little bit before maybe the halfway point, you're about to get caught up, and Chloe throws herself in the line of fire to protect you because she's actually playing both teams against one another. But you get the sense that she's on your side, but you don't quite know it yet because you don't know if she's just playing you too. So she kind of deters everybody by throwing herself in the line of fire, and because of that, Elena kind of wants to get out of there. She's like, well, let's get the fuck out of here now. And Drake kind of gets put into this conundrum where, you know, he's kind of with his new girl, Elena, and he wants to make her happy, but at the same time, he doesn't want to just leave Chloe to hang out to dry. So he has to kind of get put into this predicament where he doesn't know what to do, and he decides that he wants to go rescue Chloe because she put her life on the line for them. And there's this one cool scene that comes out where Elena just sits there kind of dumbfounded by what had just come over him when Drake said that he wanted to go after Chloe. And she's just like, I guess there's honor among thieves. And that ends up being the title of the game. And then that kind of segues into the greatest action scene that has ever been in any game, hands down. When you're rescuing Chloe, you end up being on this train scene. Not the initial one where you wake up
And it's hanging over the cliff and all that.
even though those end up tying together. But
Later on.
the train is physically moving at this point, and you're running through, and there's enemies everywhere, and there's this one part with this helicopter that's trying to. You did Uncharted 2, didn't you?
Yeah, I didn't beat it though, sadly.
Okay. And this helicopter's coming after you, and there's just so much going on to try to rescue Chloe. And it started a little bit before that, and it goes through the entire train scene. And the train is what gave Naughty Dog the idea for what was my number 8 with the airplane scene, where parts of the train are cracking off while the train is still going full steam ahead, and they're blowing parts of it off, and this helicopter's throwing missiles at you, and there's just so much going on. Wow, it's breathtaking. that game, I know I say it all the time. It's for experiences like Uncharted. It's the reason I play video games. It's the reason I sift through all the garbage to try to find those scenarios that are exactly like that. And it's why I do this. It's why I play. It's why I have this show. It's everything, man. I don't know how to put it into words. I got this big smile on my face.
I've got something that I want to do, and I didn't discuss it with you guys in advance. But now that we've sat here and we've listed off our 15, and we've mentioned that, I thought of this and I thought of that afterwards. Really quick, okay, you got one more pick. I'll start with.
Should have did this before we did the number ones.
No,
I just blew my load.
That's why I said. That's why I wanted to do. Okay, and it doesn't have to be a number one, but one that you might have just thought about. Okay, here's one for me, and I don't understand how I missed it. for me, the final fight in Wind Waker. Basically, you're in Castle Hyrule, underground, underwater. Water's pouring in. You're fighting Ganon. You've done this a million times, okay? But the final scene when Link jumps into the air and impales the Master Sword into the crown of Ganon's head was literally the moment that I went, oh shit, this game's actually kind of serious.
Oh yeah, and then when they talk about how the whole reason that everything's underwater is because they prayed for someone to save them from Ganon, and the place just flooded.
Yeah,
and the king apologizes for failing the future of Hyrule.
Yeah,
yeah. Oh,
I mean, for as lighthearted as that whole game was, to kind of make it that
the ending
serious
is
at
pretty
the
dark.
end. Yeah, and I mean, I just was like, literally, my reaction was, holy shit, he just stabbed him in the head.
Yeah.
So, does anyone else have one that they might have overlooked, but maybe now that you've triggered those feelings, you want to bring up?
I would probably pick Saints Row 3, but since we already discussed it with Mark, I'll go with my other one.
Okay.
And that would probably be Ratchet and Clank Tools of Destruction. When you you run into the first 3 or 4 games, you're assumed to be the only Lombax left on the planet, and you finally run into another one, and he's trying to be buddy-buddy with you, but he has this entirely different idea of what they should be able to do because the Lombax are very skillful in combat, to say the least. And he wants to team up for a very cynical reason, but you don't know that in the previous parts of the game. You kind of just are relieved that you found another Lombax. Insomniac does an excellent job of telling a story. And then as you get a little bit further into the game and his true intentions come out, you end up having to fight him.
I was going to say, you're kind of stuck with you're the last of the race. You've got to take out...
It's the exact same thing. It's the conundrum. It's like, do I want to be the truly last Lombax by killing the other one? Because Ratchet, in the first 2 games, he scours. That he's looking for another one in the universe, and he's never come across one. And then he finally finds one, and it ends up he has to face him. And it's pretty cool for exactly what you were saying. It's a very lighthearted series, but for something
and it gets
that
really, really serious,
something that emotional to come by in a teen game or 7 or 8, 9, 10-year-olds play Ratchet and Clank all the time, for something that heavy to come in that lighthearted of a game was pretty impressive.
Do you have one, sir?
I've got 2. One is pretty quick.
Oh, now you're just getting greedy.
I know. I apologize. When you talk about Portal, both of you guys, the thing that suddenly came to mind of me was lemons. In Portal 2.
Oh, yeah, the lemons.
The lemon speech
thing,
is fantastic.
Yeah.
Where are all your damn lemons?
You tell life to take those lemons back. Or no, was it like, you turn them into grenades? Or fantastic. I love that scene. But then the other thing is, and this is kind of a weird one, but getting Marathon on the Mac. I had a Mac way back in the day, and way before Bungie was a household name, they made Marathon. And everyone was talking about Doom and how awesome Doom was. Doom kind of ran on my parents' computer, on my parents' PC, but it wouldn't run on my Mac, which was like my own personal computer. And one of my classmates got his hands on Marathon, which was basically Doom, but set in space and by Bungie, who was really cool. Getting that installed and playing that was just like the coolest moment, because it was basically like it was 3D, And I'd played a little bit of Wolfenstein, a little bit of Doom, but Marathon was like what I wanted to play.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I wanted to work for Bungie for the longest time when they were in Chicago. I was like, that was my dream when I was a kid.
Nice.
My last one would have to be, it would be in Halo 2. It would be when Master Chief has to ride the bomb. He has to jump on, he has to open up the actual airlocks, and he has to deliver the bomb personally. Yeah.
Another Halo one would be you just made me think of this, would be I think it was Halo 2, when the whole thing happened with the Arbiter. When you finally kind of control, and there was that, and then I know 3 starts off with the 2 of them going back and forth.
I like
That's
that
pretty iconic too.
Yeah. That'll do it.
Cool.
Yeah.
The dam level in Ninja Turtles.
Oh, God, no.
There you go.
Let us know what a few of yours are. Send them in the comments. Aside from that, we all good?
Yeah, we're good.
This has been episode 66.
Order 66.
Part 2. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Catch us next week, same time, same place.
Yippee!
And happy birthday to Gran Turismo.
Happy birthday!